I just walked out of my job. I don't know what I'm doing. A breakdown in the office turned into the beginning of something unexpected. Asterisk, I didn't plan it. I didn't even think. I just stood up, picked up my bag, and walked straight out of the office. No warning, no goodbye. No 2 weeks notice, just gone. I had been working at that job for 4 years, 4 years of fake smiles. Late nights, underpaid overtime, and endless, urgent emails. They called me the reliable one, the guy who never said no. The one who stayed calm under pressure. But that wasn't calm. That was numbness. And last Friday, my body just gave up. It started with a meeting. My manager, Zishan, was ranting again. This is unacceptable, he snapped, pointing at the screen. Hassan, how did you let this slide? I didn't reply. Not because I had no answer, but because I was done being the punching bag, done pretending. He went on, calling me lazy, saying I was slipping, that I needed to get serious. And that's when it happened. I stood up, closed my laptop, picked up my bag and said, "Good luck with your deadline," then walked out. The silence behind me was louder than his shouting. I didn't look back. I got into my car and drove. Nowhere specific. Just away from the building, from the pressure, from the version of myself I didn't even recognize anymore. I ended up by the beach, sat on a rock, shoes off, tie loosened, and just stared at the water. It was calm, peaceful, everything. I was it. That's when the panic hit. What have I done? Rent's due next week. I have no savings. No backup plan. I opened my phone, unread emails. Missed calls from HR, a text from Zishan. Call me. Let's talk before you ruin your future. I turned off the phone. I didn't want to talk. Because for once, I wanted silence, real silence. No noise, no demands, no fake urgency. Just me. And the waves. I stayed there for hours. Till the sky turned orange, till my feet were numb, till I stopped shaking. Then I drove home. That night, I didn't cry. But I didn't sleep either. My mind kept replaying the moment, over and over. What would I tell my parents? What would I put on my resume? How would I survive? I checked my bank app. Enough for maybe 2 months. If I cut down hard. No luxuries. Number. Takeout. No Uber rides. The next day I woke up late, for the first time in years. No alarm. No commute. No Monday blues. Just stillness. It felt strange. I made tea. Sat by the window. And for the first time in forever, I let myself ask, what do I even want? I'd been working since I was 22, back-to-back jobs. Always trying to prove myself. First to my father, then to my bosses, then to society. And somewhere in the middle I forgot to ask if I even liked the life I was building. Spoiler, I didn't. I didn't care about deadlines, or slides, or meetings that could have been emails. I didn't dream of climbing the corporate ladder. I dreamed of freedom, of peace, of doing something that didn't kill my soul bit by bit. But how do you restart at 28 when everyone expects you to have it figured out? My friends didn't get it. They kept sending me job links, saying, apply here. Talk to my cousin's company, don't let the gap grow. I wanted to scream, I don't want another job. I want a life. I started writing, journaling, just thoughts. Things like, what if I don't go back? What if I work for myself? What if I take 6 months and just breathe? Crazy ideas. But for the first time, they didn't feel impossible. I remembered something. Back in college, I used to sketch, design shirts, even sold a few to friends. I opened my old laptop, found the files, and I smiled, because for the first time in days, I felt alive. The next morning, I borrowed money from myself, bought blank tees, printed 2 old designs, posted them on Instagram. No expectations. Just why not? In 24 hours, I got 5 orders. Then 10. Then messages asking, do you do custom pieces? I laughed, alone in my room, because I had no idea what I was doing, but it felt right. Zishan called again. Left a voicemail, we can still fix this. Come back, apologize, I'll pretend nothing happened. I deleted it, because something did happen. I finally woke up. So if you ask me, what are you doing now? I'll say, I don't know. But I'm not dying inside anymore. And that has to count for something. 3 days after I walked out, I told my parents I had to. I was running out of excuses. We were sitting at the table. My mother was pouring tea. My father was reading the newspaper. I cleared my throat. Baba, I left my job. He didn't look up. My mother froze. Left? She asked, as in resigned. I took a deep breath. No, I walked out. Just left the building. My father finally looked at me. Silence. That's not how we raised you. I expected that. But it still stung. I tried to explain. that I was burned out. That I was spiraling. That I was suffocating. But all he heard was, "You quit a stable job without a plan. You had a good position," he said. "Do you know how many people would kill for that opportunity?" My mother asked softly, "Then what now, Beta?" I told her, "I'm trying something new, a small online thing, designing shirts." She blinked. Shirts? It sounded so silly out loud. Compared to spreadsheets and meetings, it felt childish, but it was real. Mine, raw, unfiltered. They didn't get it. And I didn't expect them to, but their silence felt louder than shouting. That night, I lay awake, wondering if I'd made a huge mistake. Then my phone pinged. An order. Then another. Then a DM. "Love your designs. Can you ship internationally?" I smiled. Maybe I wasn't completely lost. A week later, I made a website, watched YouTube tutorials, wrote product descriptions, set up a delivery system. I didn't sleep much. But I didn't feel empty either. I took a deep breath, posted a video. "Hey, I'm Hassan. I left my job. Now I design shirts. Let's see what happens." I didn't expect much. The video went viral. Hundreds of likes, comments like, "Respect. Wish I had your courage. Where can I order?" I cried, alone, at 2 a.m. Because for the first time in weeks, I felt seen. Then came the real problems. Orders flooded in. But I couldn't keep up. I had no team, no process. Just me, a cheap printer, and piles of shirts. I messed up deliveries. Printed the wrong size. Shipped the wrong colors. People complained. One customer left a bad review. It crushed me. Self-doubt crept in. "You're not a businessman. You walked out of your job for this? You're failing." I sat on the floor one night, surrounded by unfinished orders, and whispered to myself, "I don't know what I'm doing." And that was the truth, but I didn't stop. I made a schedule. Started waking up early. Created a system. Fixed the website. Messaged every customer who had a problem. Some replied with kindness. Some didn't. That's business. My friend Zara called me. She worked in marketing. "I saw your video," she said. "You need help." I laughed. "Tell me about it." She offered to help me create a proper brand. We met every week, worked late, we built the look, she designed the logo. Suggested a tagline, "Burnout to bold." I loved it, because that's exactly what I was doing. My parents watched quietly. Still unsure, still skeptical. Until the day a package arrived. It was for my father. Inside, a shirt with the words, "Retired but respected." A customer from Lahore had ordered it for her father. My dad held it in his hands. Read the note attached. "Thanks to Hassan for this meaningful design." My father cried when he saw it. He looked at me, no words. Just a nod. That was his version of "I'm proud." Then came an unexpected call, from Zishan. "My ex-boss." He said, "I saw your stuff. Looks like you found your thing." I didn't know what to say. He added, "Just don't burn out again, okay?" And hung up. Funny, coming from the guy who almost broke me, but it didn't matter anymore, because I was no longer living by someone else's clock. So if you ask me now, "Hassan, what are you doing?" I'll say, "Still figuring it out, still scared. But finally, it's my fear. And my freedom." Success didn't feel like I imagined. It wasn't parties, or big checks, or overnight freedom. It was exhaustion. Pure, relentless exhaustion. After the video went viral, I got flooded. Orders, emails, collaborations, people asking for custom designs, influencers tagging my shirts. It was wild, exciting, overwhelming. And soon, dangerous. I was sleeping 3 hours a night, eating junk, ignoring texts, skipping meals. Even Zara, who helped with marketing, said, "Hassan, you're going too fast." But I couldn't stop. Every time I slowed down, my brain whispered, "If you stop, you'll fail." So I kept going. Then it happened. I missed a delivery deadline for a big client, a boutique that had just agreed to carry my brand. They called furious. "We're pulling out," they said. "You're not reliable." Click. That was my first breakdown. I turned off my phone, sat in my room, and just cried. I hadn't cried like that since I left my job. I looked around, at boxes, crushed tape rolls, shirts I hadn't folded, and I whispered, "Why does chasing my dream feel like drowning?" Zara showed up that night. No warning. Just knocked on my door. She looked at me and said nothing. Just sat beside me. And finally said, "You're doing this alone, and it's breaking you." She was right. I had left a toxic job only to create a toxic hustle. I was back in the same spiral. Except this time, I was the boss and the prisoner. That night, I decided something. I paused everything. Put the site on restock mode. Posted. Taking a short break to rebuild and breathe. Thank you for understanding. People messaged. Support, some were annoyed, but many said, take your time. We're not going anywhere. That surprised me. Because in my old job, if I paused, I was replaceable. But here, people waited. Because they connected to me. Not just the shirts. In that pause, I rebuilt proper workflow, automation, outsourced packaging. I hired a small team, 2 people. Paid them fairly, and slowly I breathed again. One night I sat with my dad. He asked, how's your little project? I smiled. Not little anymore. He nodded. Then said something I never expected. I was scared, when you quit, not because you failed, but because you finally did something I never could. I blinked. What do you mean? He looked down. I stayed at a job I hated for 32 years. So I could feed you, but I died inside a little every day. He looked up. You walked out and built something honest. That takes courage. I don't think I've ever felt more seen. By him. Weeks passed. My business became stable, still growing, but with boundaries. Zara officially joined as co-founder. We made a deal, no burnout, no glorified suffering. If we were going to work hard, we'd also protect peace. Then one day, an email landed in my inbox from a major online store, asking to collaborate. A dream, but I said no. Why? Because their terms included giving up creative control. And I had learned something. I didn't leave one cage to enter another. Now, I design at my pace. I create for joy. I take weekends off. I nap without guilt. I wake up excited. So if you ask me, Hassan, do you know what you're doing now? I'll say, not always. But I know what I'm not doing. I'm not sacrificing my soul to look successful on paper. And that is more than enough. I still don't have a fancy title. I still get scared. I still doubt myself, but I no longer live for someone else's approval. And that is the real freedom.